I imagine that you, like me, have been doing things during the pandemic that you've never done before. For me, one of the things is that most mornings I go out for a walk in my neighborhood. And to almost every neighbor that I run into, I say, "Good morning. I've got a quick, silly joke. Do you know why Noah didn't fish much? He only had 2 worms." Now, every day I come out with a joke of the day, in case I've run into the people I ran into the day before. But I found if I can come up with a joke that fits the situation, I make a better connection with my neighbors. For instance, if it looks like it's going to rain, I tell this joke. Do you know what's worse than raining cats and dogs? Hailing taxi cabs. Or if it was one of those hot summer mornings, even if you get up at 7 o'clock, it's really too hot to walk, and the no-see-ums are out by the trees. One of my neighbors calls this a windshield wiper day. On days like that, I like to tell this joke. Do you know why frogs are so happy? They get to eat what bugs them. Now, one day, 2 brothers were on their front lawn playing soccer, and the joke of the day was about soccer. So I interrupted them. Usually I don't do that, but I just couldn't control myself. I said, "Excuse me, I've got a joke I just have to tell you." So they obligingly came a little closer, still, social distanced away. But I told them, "Do you know why Cinderella was thrown off her soccer team?" She kept on, the older one immediately said no. But the younger one, I could see, was thinking. And he said, because she ran away from the ball. I said, yes, very good. Now, over the months of the pandemic, I've been developing what I think of as my go-to jokes. If I meet a man I haven't seen before, I typically tell him this joke. Do you know why the roofer didn't charge for the shingles? They were on the house. Or if I meet a young adult who, looks like young adults, they are really into computers, I tell them this joke. Do you know how many software engineers it takes to change a light bulb? None. That's a hardware problem. Or if I run into people who are walking their dogs, and there are a lot of people in my neighborhood who walk their dogs, the first time I see them, I tell them this joke. Do you know why the man named his dogs Rolex and Timex? They were his watchdogs. Now, again, over the months, I've learned to concentrate on being a giver and not a taker. A giver of laughter, not a taker of people's time. That's why I always start off by saying good morning, because I'm watching to see how they react, if they actually meet my gaze, or if they just kind of wave or mumble, that's fine with me. We're all trying to cope with the pandemic as best we can. And if they don't want to interact with me, that's fine. Now, there are some people I don't try to interact with at all. For instance, those dog walkers, when they're taking care of the scat, the poop, they do not want to be interrupted. They just want to get that over with. Or the moving targets. The people who are jogging or who are on bicycles, especially if they're going uphill, they just want to get to the top and keep breathing. They don't want a little chit-chat and a joke. But once I broke that rule, I was actually the one who was going uphill. I was 2 driveways from the top of the hill when I noticed a couple had just come over the top. So I stepped into the driveway so we wouldn't have to do that social distancing dance. But as I was waiting for them to pass me, I realized, 1, they weren't jogging very quickly, And 2, the joke of the day was a quickie. So I blurted out, "Good morning, I've got a quick silly joke. Do you know what the fish said when it hit the cement wall?" The woman immediately said, "No." "Damn," I replied. And as they slowly came back past me, the man said, "Nice one." Now, there's a whole class of people that I don't interact with at all. There were a lot of home renovations that were going on last summer. And if there's someone actually on the roof, or with a nail gun, or worse yet, a power saw, I don't even look in their direction. I do not want to distract these people at all. Now, you might be wondering what kinds of reactions I've been getting. I've gotten a whole range of laughter from titters and nice hearty chuckles and all the way to my favorite, snorts. But occasionally I've gotten, obviously, fake laughter or just, "Oh," and I go, "Ugh." They either didn't want a joke or they didn't get it. So I just, "Thanks for listening," and I take off. Now, there are whole levels of positive reactions above the spectrum of laughter. The first one is comments. My favorite comment was, "What a great way to start the day." The next level is the requesters, people who recognize me and then say, "Do you have a new joke today?" And I say, "Yes, of course." And then above the requesters is the people who stop their cars to talk to me. The first one who did that was one of my requesters, and he said, "Do I still get a joke even though I'm not walking?" I said, "Of course." The second time a car stopped, it was Joe, a neighbor I knew before the pandemic. He said, "Kate, I heard this joke and I've been dying to tell it to you." But above all those levels, on the top level are the friends that I've made. Marie, who likes opera, and Lisa, who had 2 operations on her hand and is a speech therapist in the local schools. And Dawn and her son Ben, who read in a hammock near the road. And Linda and Tony and their new puppy, Brooklyn, who yaps a lot, but I've learned that just means she's excited to see me. These are people I've met. They live over half a mile away from where I live. I never would have met them, except that we all had time on our hands and were happy to spend time chit-chatting with people who were socially distanced far enough away that we didn't even have to wear masks. Now, this all started a year ago. My dance classes had ended, and that's really the only form of exercise I enjoy. I had spent the previous year on Weight Watchers, and I was almost halfway to my goal when everything shut down and my dance classes stopped. I knew that if I didn't exercise, I was going to gain weight. I was content to stay where I was. If the pandemic, if I knew this was going to be stressful, I would be content, but I didn't want to lose ground, or in this case, gain weight. And so I knew I had to exercise. So I decided once again I would try to make a habit out of walking in the neighborhood. But I had tried that before, and it had always been so boring. But I had to do it. And that first morning, COVID started in China, and then it spread to Asia, and it closed down Europe. By that morning in March, it was in New York City. And New York City's hospitals and their morgues were overflowing with COVID victims. New York City is only 180 miles from where I live. You remember that time, how scary that was? And that morning I thought, damn it, I'm alive today. I'm healthy today. I don't know how long that's going to last. I am going to say hello to everyone I meet just to prove that I'm alive and healthy. Now, I've lived my whole life in the Northeast, and we generally don't say hello to people we don't know. Maybe we smile, but damn it, I was going to prove that I was alive and well that day. So with that rather belligerent living in the moment sort of statement, I went out that first day. And people seemed happy to say good morning back to me. And that quickly morphed into the joke of the day. Now, for 20 years, I had been doing a joke of the month to fill the little gaps of time when I was waiting with someone. For instance, at a store, there's always that little gap of time waiting for your credit card charge to be approved. And so I would tell one of these little quick jokes then. Or if I was checking out books at the library or at the bank, as long as there wasn't anyone behind me, I would tell one of my quick, silly jokes. And that quickly, the joke of the month became a joke of the day. And you can Google almost anything and crayfish jokes, and you might be able to find something. Beer jokes, I'm sure you'll be able to find lots of material there. So over time, I began to feel the way Bill Murray felt in the movie Groundhog Day, where the same day kept on coming back day after day, and every day he got a little bit better at dealing with that day. I feel every day I'm getting a little bit better at my neighborhood pop-up comedy show. And I feel it gives all of us, me and my neighbors, just a little respite from the pandemic. Now, in case you've been inspired to start up your own neighborhood pop-up comedy show, or if you just want to look up some jokes, I've put my current collection on my website, www.katedudding.com/jokes.pdf. There are over 60 pages of jokes in this file. Now, not all of them are suitable for a neighborhood pop-up comedy show. Not because they're raunchy, that's what you thought, Linda, I can tell. But mostly because some of them are longer, and I use them on my other daily gig, my joke of the day for my Facebook friends. But that's another story. I'll just end by saying, when the worms got on Noah's Ark, do you know why they weren't in apples? Did you forget? They had to go in pairs. Thanks for listening.